Tina Staley, could you please take roll call?
Nicole Charlie,
Oh my, Dea.
Chris Jordan.
Here.
Ken Stately here. Mike Barrett,
Here.
Robert Summerton,
Here.
Douglas Josh Charlie, Thomas Barrett,
Here.
Tim Litz.
Mayanda,
Which? Item 3, summary overview of agenda.
Migwitch Chair DeJarle.
Oh, before we move on to item 3, do we need to discuss 2B? Do we have guests today?
We do.
Superintendents?
We do.
Okay. Would we like to hear from them first before we move on?
That's even better. Yep, get them back to class.
Yeah.
We have 2 students, and then we also have Charmaine Blanchard here too.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, TJ and Lily, you have the floor. Thank you.
I love that idea. And we were just talking about putting sports banners up. We have a new photographer this year rather than Image. So we are planning, Bob from Image Photography to come in and take sports photos. And I think it's gonna happen the first part of January. Do you know anything more about that, Chris?
No.
The sports pictures?
Sorry.
No, but I did talk to Nolan about it and he did mention that we're gonna get Bob Smith from Image to come in because apparently, the cabinet picked a new photographer this year. Guys take your sports pictures and you don't like them, huh? You like them?
I think they said that they didn't make banners at that company.
Yeah, and they took photos with the kids just sitting on the bleachers, that's not a really good background. And so we're working on getting something, like how we used to have. But yes, I agree with you, your idea. Sports banners for the seniors and the teams.
So will we have to retake our volleyball?
Huh?
Would we have to retake the volleyball pictures?
If you wanna get those nice, I'm not sure, I was gonna ask the superintendent on who picked this year's school photographer. But they didn't do, there was not good outcome on that. And so we're looking at solutions too, and I think we're gonna contract Image to come and do that for you guys. So
We actually have the new photographer, but we kept Image for sports. So,
no, these guys did sports. They did our school photos and our sports photos.
yeah, he's doing ring stuff in prom, so Image is still with us. Yeah, we can contract him. That'd be fine.
Anything else?
No, that's it.
So just to give you guys a timeline, if Bob from Image is coming up in January, I'd imagine it'd take a little bit of time for the banners to get printed, so.
About a
that's-
week.
Yeah, so probably hopefully sometime in January, we could have up the team banners hanging up in the lobby area, is usually where we put them, right? Yeah,
Senior banners, right? Individual, and then team banners in the gym.
that's probably the timeline on that, so when Bob comes up and does team photos, we'll just add banners to, the whole cost of everything.
And it usually takes like 4 or 5 days, for our company to print those big banners. So, but yeah, I had this discussion with Noah and I would recommend you go talk to him too. And ask him what's the status on your banners.
Thank you too for bringing that forward though. It's awesome when we hear from the students and you guys
Yeah.
want something. We're gonna do our absolute best to oblige you guys. So thank you for bringing this to us.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, girls, meet Rich. Do we have any other guests?
Yeah, Charmaine is here, and, part of what Charmaine, or all of what she's gonna talk about, is actually addressing one of the reports that's coming up a little later, but we can still do it now, and then we'll have that report taken care of. But it's a report, a vaccination or student immunization update, which is listed on the agenda in item 6E.
Okay.
So
All right, well, I wanted to, I'll give you, guys all an update on the immunization rates in the Red Lake School District. First of all, I want to thank you for, getting behind school health and, giving, permission to go ahead and, enforce that school policy in regards to immunizations. And it's been a great job, collaboration with all kinds of different people, from the school principals to the school secretaries, to the school health technicians. There's a lot of people involved in getting us up to where we're at. St. Mary's is at 100%. Panema Elementary is at 100%. The Red Lake Early Childhood Center, they are coming in anywhere from 86 to 97%.
And if you're following along, it's page 87 in Word book.
Okay. And then the Red Lake Elementary, I kind of did the percentages for you. And the Red Lake Elementary, we have anywhere from 94 to 100% immunized, and that's all the grades at the Red Lake Elementary. They're doing pretty well over there. And especially their third, fourth, and fifth grade class are 100%. The Red Lake middle level ALC, they were just fine. There's no problems there, I noticed. The Red Lake Red Lake Middle School, we were at 100% for DTP, diphtheria, 97 polio, 100%. This is good for measles, mumps, and rubella. We always want our kids to be way up there. We fall a little bit behind in 7th and 8th grade with the tetanus, diphtheria. And then also, the one that a lot of our 7th and 8th graders are missing are the meningitis vaccine. And that goes for all across the state of Minnesota. I talked to Bill the other day at the Minnesota Department of Health, and he said, "Oh, you guys are right in kind of range with that vaccine." So, we're doing well. And then to top it off, the Red Lake Secondary, they're doing very well. We have rates of 100% there. We fall down a little bit with the 9th graders. Looks like, mostly 9th graders with tetanus DTaP, it's called. And then again, the meningitis for 9th graders is only 62%. And what I was telling people that I have been involved with getting us, way up here with our immunizations rates, because they are the highest they've been. And that's the work of many people. And so what I've been telling people is that if we get those kids like in 9th, 10th, 11th grade, the meningitis shots, they're all caught up, So if we get the kids coming in that we know are behind, we get them caught up, then when they get into the next grade, guess what? They're gonna be caught up. When they get into the next grade, they're gonna be caught up. They stay caught up. So, the work we're doing right now is gonna affect the future immunization rates. And the principals have all the names of the kids that need the immunizations. They've been brought up to date. Each individual record was looked through, not only through Synergy here, but also Indian Health Service electronic health record. So we did a cleaning, you would say, cleansing of both records, because sometimes MIC doesn't talk to IHS. So I'd have to look over here. Oh yeah, they're up to date. We don't have them up to date over on this side. Looks like they're not up to date. So, and then what I'm doing with the school health technicians is that they're getting those kids that are getting immunized, have an up-to-date record, but we still need to know that information. And they're putting it in Synergy. And they're also looking to make sure they have a MIC number, because some of our kids don't have a MIC number in Synergy. For some reason, it just hasn't transferred over from the Minnesota Department of Health, a MIC whole system. So they're putting those numbers in. So next year, when Cheyenne May runs the report for us. This year, we're pretty sure we got the accurate numbers more so than in previous years, because there's been a lot of work. If you see Cheyenne, tell her she's done a fantastic job. Her and I, I don't know how many records we had to look at, because they kept on saying that we had a bunch of kids that already graduated like 10 years ago. They shouldn't even be in our system. So we had to get all those kids off. A lot of work, but it paid off. So, congratulations to Red Lake School District, everybody that helped. I'm really, beyond ecstatic, all the help, because you know, it doesn't take just one person to do this. It's impossible. So you have to have teamwork. You also have to have collaboration with other organizations, people, like I said. So it's an all-around effort. And just one note off the side, I just want to let you know that Leah and Harold, his nickname is Tiger, but I don't call him Tiger, I call him his real name. They're doing fantastic in middle school and high school. The staff is finally getting used to them being here and trusting them. That's a learning curve for a lot of the staff here, because we haven't had anybody in here for 10, 12 years. So it's a learning curve for them. And I asked my school health technicians to just be patient with them. You know, they will get to the point where they will trust your judgment. You know, we've had some, the ambulance called on a few occasions. We have some kids that are having behavior problems that make frequent visits to our offices. I can tell you, we see from anywhere from 150 to 400 kids in our office every month. Some of those kids are frequent flyers. Some of the kids I've had to give a heads up to Cheryl Shaneborn that runs the wellness, coaching, wellness program here with the coaches and stuff. And, we really want to keep a close eye on those kids. Sometimes kids just need to come in and see the school health technician, sit down for a few minutes, gather their thoughts, take a breath, maybe get a cough drop or a Band-Aid, and then they're out the door. So, but they're doing really well, and we aren't afraid to fill out family and children services forms if we feel like a child is medically neglected. I had a kid that came in twice, Monday and Tuesday, wheezing, and got sent on Monday. They sent them back to school Tuesday. The grandma didn't believe my person and started saying, "What are you, a doctor or nurse?" and started putting them down, and they're saying, "No, I'm here for your child. I'm concerned with them wheezing." Well, they brought him up to the ER because they told him, "You need a doctor's excuse to come back to school. You know, he's wheezing." Well, as soon as they got him up to the ER, he got a neptune. So good call. I mean, yeah, how many, let's see, Blaine, Harold, 4 out of my 5 are EMTs, former EMTs. So you got some good people watching over our kids here. And I tell them all the time, I really appreciate it. If you see them in the hall, give them a. But thank you
They've got
so
a
much
great
for
leader
this.
like you. Thanks, amigos, for being here, Charmaine.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
Well, I plan on being here for a while. I'll be 70 pretty soon, but I ain't retiring.
Well, that's good for us to hear. One more thing before we let you go.
Uh-huh.
Have you had any contact with the dental program at IHS?
Yeah, they do our school health program. I know they're doing the younger grades right now. We're trying to get them into the higher grades.
Mhm.
And I can talk to them to see when they're gonna be doing that. We do have a chair in one of the school health tech's office. It's actually a dental chair. I don't know if they took it out or what, but they can do what they can do. I think we have one in our office that works. Yeah, she does in fact. So we're getting that all set up. And I'm glad you brought that up because we're all done with our vision screening this year with the Lions Club. They came in October, November, and December. And I can say we probably screened well over 1,000 kids, if more. And then what happens is all those kids that failed the vision screening with us,
Mhm.
the parents get a letter and they get the results. And then they've been told that a referral has been made to our eye doctor up here. And if they don't want to come up here, they can go to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
So we need our kids to see in class. Yeah.
So all your staff here, that's all provided by Compel?
Yeah, it is. Yep. And then we have, Missy and Patsy over at the elementary school. They've been over there for quite a while. And then Blaine has been over there now for over a year up in Panema.
Blaine is.
Yeah, Blaine's in Panema. Yep. And they're all doing a great job. I have to keep a couple in mind. All right. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yep.
With you, Ryan.
Bye now.
Bye. Okay. That being said, do we have any more guests?
Does not look like it, right?
Okay, great. We're gonna move on to item 3, summary overview of agenda, Superintendent Woods.
Chief Miglich, Chair DeJarle. Now that we've wrapped up our time for visitors and public comments, we will be moving into reports and into the consent agenda, including the minutes from the November 15th board meeting. Board will then be asked in the consent item agenda to approve the purchase of a 2024 Ford E350 cargo van, all-wheel drive. The board will then be asked to approve parental leave for 2 employees, followed by the approval of 4 resignations, the hiring of 7 new employees, including Dan Rogers, cross-country ski coach. The board will then be asked to approve the new sublists, then to approve the opening of a 1.0 FTE special education teacher position for the district, followed by a 1.0 FTE social worker intern position for the district, followed by the closing of a 0.5 FTE custodian 1 for the district. There is no need for a closed session at this board meeting. The board will then move into action items on the agenda. This will include approving the list of bills, checks, and wires in the amount of $209,803.08. Board will then be asked to certify the 23 pay 24 property tax levy. Then the board will be asked to pass resolution 2023-01, establishing combined polling places for multiple precincts. The board will then deal with amending policy 217, school board member honorarium, followed by amending policy 16.1, Indian policy teachers. After that, we'll move into any miscellaneous concerns, which will include the second reading to amend policy 534, school meal. We will then adjourn. Which isn't our year.
Thank you. So that puts us to item 4, approval of the agenda of December 20th, 2023. With that being said, I would like to make an amendment to the agenda and remove item K for further review, so table that. And then go from there. That should be all right.
The request to,
To remove item K
yeah,
from the agenda,
and then,
so further review. Have occurred on, background check.
just they table it.
Yeah,
There has been a background check.
there's not been one from the tribal courts.
Oh, private court. Is that a normal thing that we do? You aware of that?
Something we should do.
Are we making an exception though?
Is the head of security here, Donald, can
Yeah.
you answer this, or what's the policy on it?
Since I've been here, it's always been state and federal background checks. We've never done tribal background checks because it's a bigger, harder process to go through.
I think that's a question for the human resource, Ashley.
We've inquired about it and they gave us the briefing of what we need to do. And but as long as I've been here, it's always been federal and state background.
So let's,
Perfect. We do have board policy for background checks that are DC. So we have trusted employees who we partner with, they run the local, the federal. Red Lake Nation's unique and background checks, as we have inquired about it for many years. It seems like it is on an individual basis, has to be, judge approved before they get any information. But we do everything per board policy for our background checks, with any new hire.
So do we gotta go through the court system to,
We'd have to change board policy and then go through the court systems for everybody.
So we don't utilize travel background checks for school employees?
We
No.
utilize the
No, we
board
don't.
policy.
So let's say hypothetically, somebody in our community committed a crime in Red Lake and they were only tried in Red Lake, those crimes would not come up in our background check.
And convicted in Red Lake,
Yeah,
no.
yeah, so I definitely think we gotta change that policy.
And that's board policy, it's in the 400, I was trying to quick pull it up before I was called in.
Yeah,
And
okay.
I don't have that, but if you go onto our home website and go to district and then school board, all of your policies and procedures. That's part of the employee run the 400.
And that policy was produced how many years ago?
We have to look at the adopted date when we pull up the policy and then in the amendment date, that's on.
Okay.
Typically they're on the bottom right, but sometimes they're on the
Amy, good for that, actually. Appreciate that. Okay, with that being said, we're gonna move on and motion the amended agenda. Do we have a motion to approve?
Is that what we're doing then? We're removing K here?
I'm removing K.
We're removing K.
K, that's amended agenda. And further review. And so with that being said, we're going on to item 4.
Being that they did a background check, did they do background checks on the other Red Lake members that are on here? Or through the
I'm
court,
sure they did not.
like with Robert Van Wert? Did they do a background check on him
State
too?
and federal background check was done. That's, Robert Van Wert Jr.
Oh, that's not Rob.
No.
Oh, okay, Junior. I would say that.
I let a few other people know that also.
Oh, okay.
Any other questions?
No, it seems really interesting. We don't use. Right,
So our typical scenario to, yeah,
Everything up to this point, yeah, the background has never been traveled.
We can address that with the new policy first reading in January.
so then you gotta go through the, what, 3 year? There's a little process there.
because we are a sovereign nation, so we have our own courts.
When's the next policy, committee meeting? Or, I mean, is that where we start get the ball rolling on this?
Probably is, so I don't know if one is scheduled until a little later, but we can move it up.
Ashley sets them up.
Do we move it up before our next board meeting so we could have a policy change? Forward on the January meeting?
Okay. We're in district on, 27th and 28th, or we're back in on January 3rd. So, we think we can have our school board members here. We do a policy review committee, I believe we have 3 on the board. Because you want it on the January 17th board meeting. So board packets for the January 17th board meeting are typically printed on January 9th. So in collaboration.
Not the 7th meeting, that's a organizational meeting. So it'd be the.
Correct, the 17th. Yeah, but our board packets get printed out on the 9th because they're printed a week before board meeting.
So first week of January, could a policy meeting be set up?
Yep, or, yeah, and the,
4 to 3, do you recall?
actually, like, it's typically, Hummerton, Barrett. Yeah, right.
Yeah. What works for you guys?
So board policy committee, could those numbers be changed?
It was that,
Not until
you
after
guys.
the board
Not
meeting.
until January 7th?
Yep, and now we're starting to border on some, making these changes for, because of one individual, we're risking a claim of discrimination here. We changed all of our behaviors. in One situation.
So what we're gonna do with these 3 security guards, and we're just taking our one off
Yep,
and
Removing
hiring the
item
other two,
K.
or?
that's Nicole's request, yeah.
Removing item K, amending the agenda.
But the work of the policy committee should be pretty basic. We have a policy which states that along with state and federal background and private court background.
Just to help, the whole district as a whole. For one individual, Mr. Woods.
So being that it's not in place right now, and we take that off the table, does that mean we're in the wrong for doing that then?
And just
Being that it's not in place?
questioning something, that's all.
Right. If we make an exception for one individual, there could be a claim brought against us. So we win or lose that claim, but you have to be careful.
But let's say we change the policy to make a tribal background mandatory, would that mean then we'd have to have all the current staff go through that as well?
That would be up to the policy committee and how we write it. We could say moving forward, and that's usually the way it's done, moving forward. The funny thing is about policy or background checks. If you've been an employee for 10 years and you had a background check 10 years ago, we don't do a background check every year subsequent, so you could have done something 5 years in, we would never know if we're not aware of what's going on in the court system. So it's not a perfect system there either, but another option is to move forward, not take K out. Do a greater background check, see what comes up, and then make a remove or something like that, but.
What about, for transportation? Does that use tribal?
They have special DOT requirements and background checks through federal clearinghouse. So they use the same BCA program that we utilize, but they also have an additional stuff through federal.
Is
So
that-
they don't have tribal.
Oh,
Yeah,
so you could, that's where, you know, you could get the tribal DUI and show up on your record, right?
it would be an additional barrier, if we had another staff or any community members too, for that, just kind of a thought to consider.
It is a board decision. I'm just proposing that we amend the agenda, and it's up to us as a whole. What we do.
Remember the old days when we'd have the lawyer here?
Yeah,
This should be a good time to have the lawyer here.
yeah, that's right, Chris.
Cause it does, you know what I mean? We are making we're going against board policy if we remove pay. And then last January, we all took the oath
Yeah.
of whole board policy, so.
And but we keep in mind, we are first youth advocates. We are here to protect the children. And we are here to work together. So it's what it is, and we all no consensus.
Even with a background check, you can hire people if they come back with some kind of a hit on that background check. Depends upon what it is. The school often will hire someone if their only incident is, let's say, a DUI, but they're not driving a bus. They're a parent or a teacher or security. It doesn't need to preclude someone from being hired. Background checks are mostly for UI for bus drivers or any other drivers, or some of the things that people do with harassment or sexual crimes against children. That's how this all pretty much started. If that came back that way, then we would not hire anybody to work in a school. Probably also selling drugs, substances. Not even keep them out of the school. But if it's something that's not that pervasive or serious, dealing with children, then they could still be hired.
Is it board policy to have these people give interviews without, let's say, Ashley or a board member in the interview room?
And that's why you hire these people. and hire administrators, cabinet members to run the district. That's part of running the district.
Is it possible to leave it as is, but to put all of these guys through a tribal? Is it?
So.
So every single, hire people, we have procedure, know kind of what the requirements are if we're able to do it through the tribal background, correct?
Yeah, and I would,
Everybody is,
and I should backtrack. If we don't have a policy in place, it probably wouldn't be kosher or fair. We have to go forward,
Yeah,
moving forward.
because it's a valid concern, but you know what I mean, then it's that. There's the board policy too, you know what I mean? We're,
I mean, how about the ban the bonds, that anti-discrimination? I'm going to say, now, school districts are exempt from that ban the bonds, which helps with the needs. Type of convictions. That was just a couple of years ago, that it became. So that's something too that we don't have to just consider as we go through the policy.
Well, what's presented to us is the recommendations from the ones that were interviewed.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't necessarily have to go with what they recommend. I mean, that's just why the the people that are recommending it.
hiring committee, interview committee, right? Yeah, they recommend.
I mean, they're the ones that are recommending we hire. We don't necessarily have to. So I don't think we're in any kind of,
Legal
no.
matter, so that's what I'm concerned about, but also keeping in mind I am a youth advocate. Why I'm standing on this. So with that being said, school board members, I would like to move forward with approval of the agenda, the amended agenda with item K removed. How do we feel about that? Do we have a motion? And we can't go in closed discussion to discuss why I'm saying this.
This point, when there's silence, the chair usually waits, like 30 seconds. Asks, second time, is there a motion?
Is there a motion for the amended agenda with item K removed?
Another 30 seconds, you ask again, and
So then what happens?
And then the school board agrees to it.
and if the amended motion fails due to a lack of a motion or a second. And we go back to the original agenda.
If, so when we set a motion in a second to approve, C through N, all of these, can we only do that if we have all these on there, or can we make decisions on these individually? Separate, the way Mike was saying, we don't have to, but does that mean we would not take the recommendations of all of them at once?
Usually you just take one or two things out and still consider it a consent agenda. You just not.
And
remove the
actually,
one.
yeah, and actually, this is the approval of the agenda. You don't have to deal with the consent yet because we didn't get to it. So you can make that, you can,
Oh, we're here, the consent is at 7.
you can get to it then, but at least you approve the agenda.
Mhm.
I mean, that's the way I see it.
Yeah,
You're the vet.
but we're approving the agenda for December 20th, and then I'm trying to add
And,
it.
yeah, and it doesn't
Okay.
have to, it doesn't have to include anything to do with the consent yet until we get to the.
To 7.
Right, I mean.
So is it possible to get a legal opinion before we get to that? Or,
We don't have a lawyer?
We can't really do that with call. You know,
That's how we used to call her on other occasions.
Because
We called
I
it,
can
right?
try to get a
they
hold of
used
her.
to sit right here and we would ask
Yeah.
questions.
Well, this item can actually be, you can remove it. I mean,
That's what I'm
for your
asking.
own reasons, and, or it could be done separately. Move
action
back-
item.
Back to the agenda. Doesn't have to stay on here.
So
We can take it off and put it to the back if you want.
as an action item, right? Is that-
Yeah, we can
that
put it
outdoor?
back to
Yeah, I mean, that's the way we've done it.
9F.
I mean, we can approve the agenda, but we don't have to mention anything about the consent yet until we get there. I mean,
And can't we ask for a closed, quick meeting to find out why you don't want it on there, and then hold it and make it easier for all of us?
I think,
The more
I think
reason
you
why.
can, if you want a closed session, you can have one. I mean, I think.
At least find out the reason, because I know when I did that last time, they made me just tell everybody right during the meeting. Which should have been a closed session, but they all wanted to know.
Okay, we're gonna try again. We're gonna move on to item 4, approval of agenda for December 20th, 2023. We have a motion to approve the December 20th, 2023 agenda.
Okay, I'll move to approve it.
Chris moves. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Okay. Which,
Not everybody, I didn't,
yep, everybody's aye.
7?
7-0. And with that being said, we're gonna move on to item 5, public comments and delegations. This is the time for members to address the school board. Do we have anybody here today?
Nobody signed up?
Okay,
No.
Amy Butch. That being said, we're gonna move on to item 6, reports. The finance report, November 2023. Superintendent Lutz?
Or,
Okay, he stepped away from his desk briefly. We'll give him a minute. Rich, Superintendent Lutz, we're moving on to item 6, report. Finance report, November 2023.
Okay, and a couple different reports that we can get to. First one, the finance report, as I usually mention, Willie is on top of things and everything is matching and balancing out. So I present that to you. I want to take A, B, and C together because they all kind of come together. Because B and C have to do with things that we usually do at the end of the year. The GASB 75 valuation report is something that the auditors do. And they want us to be on top of things, and what that deals with are the, what's called the OPEB liabilities, the other, post-employment benefits, and what we have as future liabilities, dealing with insurance or dealing with, health insurance, dental insurance liabilities, and vacation time, personal leave expenses, things like that, that employees hold. At the end of June 2023, when our fiscal year wrapped up, our obligation was $13,270,000. At the end of next June 30th, our obligations are a little over 60 million. And again, sharing those numbers with you, they don't mean a whole lot. I'm just telling you that the auditors are aware, we're aware, and it's important to keep track of and to budget these kinds of obligations for down the road when we need to cash them out, which is usually like, let's say someone decides to retire and they have 2 weeks of vacation, or a bunch of sick leave days that they can claim. Those are cashed in at that particular point. Then, if I could point out to you item 6C, which in board book is page 85. And basically that takes a look at current and projected budgets and fund balance. Take a look at that, you can see that beginning of fiscal year 2023, our fund balance was just shy of $26 million. Total all funds, 25,972,000 and change. Actual revenues, transfers in were $47.5 million. Fiscal year actual expenditures and transfers out so far are $49 million, $2 million more. Nothing to be alarmed about, bringing our actual fund balances closer to 4 million. Looking forward, fiscal year 24 budget revenues and transfers in are looking at 47, with expenditures being 44. So basically, taking a look at next year, I'm going to be getting ahead again. Projected budget fund balance spending projectedly less than the peak. We finished a year or two where we were doing some deficit spending. Things are looking better for next year. So this is something that generally we take a look at the end of every year. And, you know, a school district lives in 3 different years at the same time. Wrap up the previous year with our audit, and our auditors will present to us, I believe, in January, all the numbers from the past year. We can put that one to bed. We also live in the current year. As you can see now, we're starting to look at next year. Willie builds the budget for next year. We're always dealing with the time warp, 3 different years of dealing. That should wrap up those 3 reports. Any questions about those finances?
We're doing good.
Yep, we are.
Can we make recommendations like for teachers to be hired or anything? I mean, like, I went visiting in the school and, back when I worked, we had 2 of each specialist. And then kindergarten had their own, but now they only have 1 music teacher and 1 art teacher. So
You
would
can-
we be able to
we can-
hire teacher and art teacher for elementary? Because
Usually what,
That's a lot
what
on one
the principals do will determine, you know, if they need another teacher like that, or if they have problems scheduling, but it's all based on budget and then our schedule. If they're scheduled and everybody gets art to some degree, everybody gets music to some degree, then we are okay. Cause if we're short there and people don't get as much as they would like, principals take a look at that. But you can, yes, if you think that we should look into that, we can direct the principals to take a look at, determine, and we kind of do the same thing with OLC, Ojibwe Language and Culture. We're taking a look at, okay, we want more Ojibwe language.
boy, and they're doing really good. I went, Canoe showed me all kinds of stuff they're doing and they're really,
Good thing, so,
yeah.
but if you'd like, we could take a look at the art and the music and see how much is being covered.
Even gym, I don't know, I didn't check on a gym teacher, but you know, that's gotta be a lot on. I mean, there's a lot of grades we have now and there was a lot back then and that was hard on some specialists going back to back like that.
Well, they all get preps and they're, you know, it's
Mhm.
some of those positions that see all the kids. It is a little bit trickier, but they probably don't work any harder than a classroom teacher who's with kids all day long, doing the same thing back to back. They switch from subject to subject, but maybe the gym teacher has 30-minute periods, so there's more of them switching back and forth, so it seems more hectic. Whereas a classroom teacher might do an hour of math, an hour of reading, goes at a slower pace. But we can certainly look at that. I can ask the principals to check the schedule.
Maybe check if everybody is getting their hour prep, because being that they take
Oh, if
some of those
they are.
programs off, where are they getting the extra prep?
If they weren't, we'd hear from Heather. Is one of the co-presidents of the union. It is a law, but we can double check that again too.
Yeah,
So. since we're still in the reports.
I have a question.
Yes.
Are some of them, when you have hour, are they giving up their hours in order to sub for another teacher?
Sometimes if we cannot find a sub, we will ask the teacher to do that. The teacher can say no. But if the teacher says yes and they cover during their prep, then they are paid that extra. They are always paid for that. Some teachers, and when I was a younger teacher, I welcomed that opportunity because I could make a little extra. And I would do my prep at home or after school.
Is everybody aware that they can get paid for that?
Oh, yes.
Cause I know I did it for so many years and I didn't even know people were getting paid for it. I didn't start getting paid for it to the end of my year, end of my time I was working.
Yeah.
Cause I just always thought, being a teacher, you know, you go above and beyond whether you get paid for it or not, you know?
When were you done teaching?
10 years ago now.
Years ago, they would have paid you. No?
Well, they would have, but I didn't know about it.
Oh, I
And-
see.
And they didn't offer it to
Oh.
me, you know, they just
I see. Got it. Yep.
said, "Oh, come on, Tina,
Right.
I'll do it for nothing," you know, and
Yep.
I did.
Thank you. Amy. Thank you. Yeah.
I didn't know they were getting paid, I would have asked,
Right.
you know? And
All right. If I may, Chair DeJarle, I'll move on with the next report, which is the monthly enrollment report. And currently, as of December 5th, we have 1,509 students in the district. That's down a little bit from November, but it's still up from a little bit earlier at the same time last year, back in October. It was not up, but we're pretty close to where it was in October of last. It goes up and down, up and down. Towards the end of the school year last year, we had a great big influx. Between October 13th, May 25th, we had 51 new students. And that often does happen for various reasons. So I would anticipate we see a few more students, and we have been recently getting, a couple weeks ago anyway, a handful of students. Charter school. So it goes up and down, but we're still pretty solid.
When a kid comes to the mission, will
Yep.
that,
Yep. And then we already did our student immunization update report, but I do have two more reports I'd like to share. One of them, they're both really exciting news. On the 3rd of January, the second day after we're back on the 2nd, the Adam Thielen Foundation people will be up here. Not himself, because he's still playing, you know, probably in the worst football league team in the league, but,
was that the date? Would you do the date?
yeah, the 3rd. Third starting is, which is January 3rd, which is Wednesday. They'll be here from a little bit after 8 until 3 or so. We'll be dedicating the new weight room. They'll interview some students, a couple of male students, a couple of female students. And they'll be putting together their own little video that they're going to highlight what they've done already. And then at 1 o'clock during this 11th to 12th day for lunch. Yep. Hold that thought.
Okay, and you which? Okay, we're pausing group and superintendent have to walk out.
Well,
Well, we're gonna move on to the consent agenda, number 7 for December 2020, December 20th, 2023. We're gonna move item K to item 9F. 9F, so we're gonna move 9F K, security guard position. We'll just vote on that separately rather than tabling it. Good for that tip there. Mike, appreciate that.
I have a question.
Sure, go ahead, John.
Are you aware of, that 21 program that was supposed to be implementing this past fall or sometime this year?
Okay. And which building are we supposed to be implementing that in? All buildings or?
I'm not sure if it was all the buildings or it had to do with suicide prevention.
Okay.
I don't know if anyone else was aware of it, but it was brought up at the convention in last January. It has to do with a program that comes out of Canada. And it came down to,
Project 21,
Willie
Project 11.
That what you're asking about?
Yeah, Project 11.
Willie Marvin grandson or something that committed suicide, and then there was this program that seemed to be pretty beneficial for.
Yeah, I'll let Tim give you a little bit more insight on Project 11. We are implementing it in the
Yep.
district.
I sat in on several and it is really good. Teaches skills, it teaches social and emotional growth, it teaches, taking a look at, character, being responsible, not procrastinating, thinking about your future. There's a lot of good things. I sat in, the fourth grade fourth grade class, I think, it was one time, and then I also sat in with the 12th grade. So I could see, and then in between too, see different levels of sophistication of the message. We will be, it's something like 13 weeks or so. We're wrapping up with the program and then start it again next year. That's really good.
So in our first year. of
Yep.
Using the literature and the books, we get 3 books from them. And they can be placed in the classrooms, and it's up to the teacher which lesson plan she needs to utilize on certain days.
So it's a good program.
Been on the same topic. I had a session with a kid and he come in and he was like, he was just telling me what they had this, so they had just spent some time on it. He come in and he told me what they were.
Yeah,
Okay.
I just wanted to,
Cool.
be informed on it, and I hadn't heard nothing much
Yeah.
about it, so.
Fair enough.
I remember it was you and I think Nicole saw a presentation in it. So, and, yeah, and if you'd like, I can maybe give you another update when we're all wrapped up in a month or so. Getting back to the Healing Foundation, I wanted to mention one other thing. At 1 o'clock when we have lunch, the kids are gonna do a little thank you ceremony. Probably provide a blanket for one of the people. And then Adam Thielen has a message that's pre-recorded that we played on screen for our school. It was really nice, so. Yep, during at 1 o'clock. And, Nolan and I are, pretty much, Nolan is kind of planning things. Real positive event, very similar to the one we had when the Olsen family was up here, the one donated to the scoreboard. So it's good to be able to thank. Okay, then if I can switch gears, Willie was able to call our attorney. Why he came in and asked me to step up. And the recommendation from the attorney is that cannot pull a single individual. To single that individual out.
Or we can't move it to item 9.
Cannot do that. And individually deal with that.
We've done that several times.
What we can do is take everyone out and not hire anyone. Which will be very difficult because then we won't have teachers. We need to hire subs and paras.
We've never, we've taken individuals off here, placed them at the back. Item to vote separately.
But if you've done that without identifying. Already, we've identified this individual on the agenda is not by name, by letter, item K. And the agenda is out there, so people are aware. Single out one individual and treat that individual differently, we are
Who put us in this position?
You,
No, somebody put this agenda here.
you brought it up. And singled this individual off.
Yeah.
And I told you
But
that,
I'm a youth advocate, so I have to stand up for the kids.
well, am I, and that does not mean that hiring this person is gonna cause harm to kids. This person works in the tribe up in Red Lake. This person was fairly and objectively hired and recommended for hire based on a rubric given to everyone. 3 members of the committee are making a recommendation that we hire this person along with 2 others. What often happens in a small community is we hear things. But the background check, federal, state background check. And that's our current policy. If you want to change the policy, we can do that. But the recommendation is either hire nobody, hire everybody. Hire everybody, then we can still do see how things work out. But a professional group of committee members with a professionally designed rubric with questions to interview these candidates and they're coming forth with it. My recommendation is that we move forward. Check the district. And just, Donald is aware. You have to be really careful.
I really stand behind, breaking cycles, generational trauma and cycles, and behind that is lateral oppression. I like that being against each other and talking down on your own people.
Yeah, that's what happened with particular hires. We'll remove that. We do that, and, we will remove and not allow that thing. And I would stand behind that.
Do we still put them all on 90-day probation when we hire them?
Pretty much there still is a probationary period. So yes, it's easier to get rid of people if they do act up. Longer for teachers, of course, but for hourly, we certainly can take action.
Great, thank you for that.
Yeah,
And meet Rich Willie. I just wanted to know if, we have access to a smart board or a big board, so, athletic director, TV coordinator, no one can share with us tonight.
does he have it on a laptop or a computer or
No,
a thumb drive?
he has access only on his cell phones, but it can only be connected that way. Would the IT be handy with, setting up something so the school board can see
You
that?
can check to see if there's a way to do that. See. We're gonna be able to get a hold of Mike Bramblin.
Yeah.
Mike or Ken.
I think that would be a good treat, the
Yeah.
school board members would appreciate that, see what
Yes.
is coming.
In the meantime, we can continue with the agenda, I suppose.
Yeah, so we're on item 7, consent agenda, and, when you stepped out briefly, I put that on item 9F, and that cannot be there. So we're gonna rescind that move from 9 or K to 9F. And it's going back to where it was on the consent agenda. I just feel that, we're in the school board and we should be looking out for.
I'm just surprised.
Yeah, that's how I feel like you just gotta take this and you gotta take it now.
Yeah, we've done that several times before. We've removed things from the consent and,
Yeah.
and then we put them in the back to vote on separately.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're
I
not in
think-
agreement and we want to vote separately. So that-
And it was
that's why
probably,
Yeah, I recall.
I'm surprised. Yeah.
but it may not have had, the impact it has
But
now.
right.
Right now, we're dealing with policy and. we're dealing with-
Wrong.
Mhm.
It could have been in the past, it was just one category that you were removing. Right now, you're taking one individual from a category of 3 people, singling that one out, and that's where we have a problem.
Well, I mean, that's our right because we're the board. We're the one.
That's what we're trying to tell you.
But our own attorney says we can't do that. So if you did it before, it was wrong.
Oh,
You can't single it out.
I was an honor then. I come after that. I come after Keith and honor.
I'm saying what we're doing is we're changing the rules to suit us at the expense of someone else. And that loss,
I remember being part of some things. That's when,
Yeah.
do you remember, but do you remember when I became the chair, I felt we're not doing things right here. That's why I asked our lawyer to give a Zoom on board ethics. Cause I was like, we were talking about names, they were asking whose family that is.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there like, yo, this ain't right, but it was going on.
Yep.
You know what I mean? That was going on here. And when I go to January and when I was sent to, no, it's the first one, orientation. You know, when you first get elected, you go to the phase 1, 2, and 3, and then I'm like,
Yeah.
holy crap. They said down there that we can't be doing this, but yet that was going on here. So you remember I had our own lawyer, the 1 year I was chair, I said, I need you to do a teach board ethics, and she said, well, they have it and I said, well, either then they enlisted, because it was going on. And so you were talking family, they were talking me.
This was on closed session.
Oh,
so I just
they
heard
didn't
back,
record it back then.
just heard back from Sherry that our
We
tech
had this
person
back then.
goes home at 3 o'clock every day, so he missed it. Knowing ahead of time, we could line something up. But we can certainly do something next time. Our
Did,
next meeting is only 3 weeks
Did
away.
you get a hold of the IT guy?
Yep, he's out. He just left. So his schedule, he gets here at 6:30 in the morning.
What about, that lady?
And leaves at 3.
When-
Becca, but I don't know if Becca has, I think if Becca has try, Sherry. But I'm pretty sure, I'm pretty tech savvy, and I don't know how to take a,
I'm here. I don't
an
know how
item.
to connect. I don't know how to connect a phone to a smart board.
right. If we had an Apple TV setup, we could do something through Apple
Yeah.
Air, but we don't have that technology.
Yeah. Like if there's
So,
a
what
way
I
that
would
he could
suggest-
get it on a computer, then we could share it that way. But otherwise, I don't
Right.
know. I know very little about IT stuff.
You can do that, Nolan, we can put it on. Otherwise, maybe you can show the board afterwards, and then we can show on a smart board for everybody next month. But that's still before, and the, thing happening in February.
Folks, ever,
Okay, well, at least we tried to see the commercial.
Yeah,
did you say January? February.
believe it, Brad.
February 2nd is, world premiere.
World premiere. February 2nd.
Oh, and then 1 3 years.
Good
Oh,
things.
but the Nike had it,
Yeah, the next
2 24.
before.
4.
So we're back to the
Okay.
consent agenda. Action on that.
Okay, we're on item 7, consent agenda for December 20th, 2023. We have a motion to approve the consent agenda for December 20th, 2023.
I'll move to approve, Madam Chair.
Which, Chris, do we have a second? We have a second.
Second,
Jack, can't hear you. Which, Jack? All those in favor to approve the consent agenda?
Aye.
Then,
And I vote no. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 4, 1 no and 1 abstain. Which. We are moving on to item
9A, action already, right?
Yeah, item 8, closed session if necessary. Now, this would have been a time where I would have talked about that. But we're moving on to item 9, action items, 9A.
That is to approve the bills and wires for the month of November, $2,209,803.08, and everything is in order. Ready for your approval.
Do we have a motion to approve?
I make a motion.
Which Rob, do we have a second?
Second.
Which Tom? Any comments? Okay, with that being said, we are gonna take a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, all those in favor. 9B, certified 2023 paid 2024 property tax levy. We have a motion.
I'll move.
Which Jack?
Second.
Which Tina? Any comments?
Up a little bit over last year, but that's to be expected, and it's, we're only talking 12 to 13, maybe 15 taxpayers. And a levy of about $6,900, so very small.
Okay, we'll take a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
6-0 against. 9C, resolution 2023-01, establishing combined polling places for multiple precincts.
Thank you, Chair Desjardins, and I would direct you to page 363. And basically, this is a resolution where we are naming 2 polling places. First one is the Red Lake Community Center located on Highway 1 East here in Red Lake. And another one is in Panema at the Community Center. Number 1 Indian Service Road in the east. And these are the polling places for the upcoming year. We're mostly involved in being there for board elections, school board elections.
Is that the new or the old one? Red Lake?
Doesn't stipulate, it just says Red Lake Community Center on Highway 1 East. So are they both on Highway 1?
You did both hold one all the time, huh? Yeah, late center.
They don't do one in Redby. I thought they did one in Redby too.
They used to, but see now they're
No.
trying to combine them because, you know, you gotta cost more money, you know, to have multiple, so
Okay.
you just have one.
We can probably work out that specific detail at a later date when we get the advertising out.
Yes, make sure we.
Make sure that's clear, yeah. So the resolution is recommended for your approval.
All right.
I'll move to approve that.
Which Chris, do we have a second?
Second.
Which Tom? Any comments? All those in favor?
I kind of-
Okay, go ahead.
I think we should have one in Redby because I can just see Redby getting mad, Redby getting mad. Cause Red Lake is, even though we're 5 miles away, it's pretty hard for Redby people. to even get to Red Lake.
I can look into that, and if need be, you can add that.
Mhm.
So we might have to stick with it for this time,
Yeah.
but
Before there was one in Little Rock, Red Lake, and one in Redby.
yeah,
Just the last election.
I'll look into that.
Thank you, Tim.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna take, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. How about you, Tina, Jack?
No,
2 noes? 4, and 2 noes. Item D, amend policy 217, school board member honorariums.
For this, I refer you to page 365, 2 pages down. And if you remember from our discussion last board meeting, we talked about how to hold board members accountable so that they appear for meetings. And I called our attorney, Maggie Everett. I also called the MSBA and talked to the deputy director. And they both recommended that, you know, we can't really remove people who have been duly elected unless they have done something extremely egregious, let's say, of a, you know, felonious type of a deal. But what we can do is hold people accountable like we hold anyone else on the job accountable, which is if you don't show up, you don't get paid. And that's what a lot of boards do, and that was their recommendation. So they recommended that we take this policy, which addresses board member honorariums, 217, and add item E, which you see there in red, which states then that any board member who has missed 3 regular board meetings during their 4-year term will not receive pay for any subsequent board meetings that they miss. So they get three strikes. And then after that, they just have to give up and they're not there. And that's often what is done at board meetings. In every board that I've worked with, every school district, you get paid when you show up, you fill out, you do your meeting, you fill out a voucher. And you get paid kind of like any other temporary job or job you fill in on a certain temporary basis, let's say, fill in, do the job, fill out a voucher. So you don't get paid if you're not there. And that's what they're suggesting here, except you guys get 3 days, three tries.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Oh, wow,
Is
I
there
didn't,
any-
I didn't even get to say anything.
Is there any extenuating circumstances like doctor's appointments or?
But when, Jack,
certain
when there's no
people-
call, no show,
certain-
no, that's not
Certain
allowed.
people,
The recommendation is that you call and make sure that the board chair knows,
yeah,
and then the chair and the superintendent, we can say, yeah,
Or
you know,
people
you can't
that-
help being gone because you've been sick.
might be, scheduling other meetings to coincide with this meeting, so they don't need to show up.
Chris was representing his work one time, had to miss, and that was our fault because we rescheduled that regular meeting. That wouldn't be complicated. Factoring for your own,
Doctors know
right?
extenuating circumstances.
Yeah, but if it's just you're not showing up and no,
So does that mean like if you planned a trip and then we have to change the meeting date during the trip that you planned? So they get excused too then?
yeah, I think so, because you already planned something, we've made the change, so you shouldn't be. And this wouldn't start until the next year, coming up next board meeting. It's a good time. We're at the end of this fiscal or
And
calendar
keep in
year.
mind, this is upon board approval.
Right.
So we all have to agree on it. Okay, any other questions? Okay, item B, amend policy 217, school board member honorariums. Do you have a motion to?
Did we vote on that last one? Yeah, we just, Tom and Chris,
See?
Yeah, the combined polling,
yeah, yes or no?
Or,
Oh, we
or
did
two.
see.
we did, we had 2 no's, 3 yeses and an abstention.
So does that mean if we miss 3 days and then we're fired? Is that what I mean?
No, you
Can't
don't
be
get your
fired.
school board pay.
You can miss up to 3 and still get paid, so after the third one, and you have a no call, no show, then you won't get paid.
So after that, what if you show up and come to the meeting and you don't get paid for showing up?
You get paid for showing up.
Yeah.
You will, you'll get paid.
No, we're still there.
Okay,
Just
so
for the
you
ones
can
you're not
miss
there.
3 days and
We
get
didn't
paid.
see.
After that is when they start the.
But
policy.
then after that, if you miss a day, then you don't get paid for that time.
Right,
Is that what I'm saying?
yep, so it's very fair, if you're not there.
Yeah, it's not fair.
Yeah, I kind of wish this may have been, implemented a long time ago because, one of our previous school board members missed probably half of his term.
Hmm.
And nothing
Yeah.
was done about it,
Not fair for the rest of you, you know?
so maybe he set the precedent for
Yeah.
people not showing up.
Mm-hmm.
No, well, where else should I show up, you know?
Mm-hmm. That's what we do with our staff, they don't show up.
Okay, thank you for the comments. Any further comments? Okay, now we'll take a motion. Do we have a motion?
Sorry for stepping out of line there, Madam Chair. I'll move to approve.
Nicolich, Chris, do we have a second?
Second.
Nicolich, Tom. Any further comment? Okay, we'll take a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, 6 for 0 against. Mike's out. Okay, now we're moving on to item E, amend policy 616.1, American Indian policies and procedures.
Thank you, Chair Desjarlais, and I would refer you to page 368, and the only change are the dates. Just updating the dates for the 23-24 school year. Just forgive me.
Okay.
That's what you need to do.
I'll move to approve.
Which, Chris motions to approve. Do you have a second?
Second.
Which, Tom, Any comments? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye. Okay, 6-4 again. And we are moving on to number 10, miscellaneous. Does anybody have anything to share? I wanted to share that, Nike X7 commercial, but we don't have the need to do that right now. Because I really wanted you guys to see that. It would make you feel proud.
And we still have one left under miscellaneous. Second reading of policy 534, school meals. If you remember, we did the first reading last month, and again, it's just a few changes that don't even apply to us. But they apply to every other school district or many other school districts. And we're being told we have to change the language. Basically, it's about how we collect on unpaid meal debt, which we don't have. So,
A lot of other districts do.
yep, so we have to go along the same way, so. So we have a motion for the second reading. We didn't have to do a vote last month because of the first reading, but we do have to vote on this one to make it official.
And I'll just share that I went to Las Vegas and attended NISA, the Nationally Indian Impacted Schools Association by John Brockenberg and Greg Gitch. And very informative, and we do need, excuse me, Jack,
Thank you, Jack.
are you leaving? We're not done yet.
Somebody to pick up from school, right? I'm never late.
Well, that was rude of you. Make a note that Jack left the meeting.
So we still need to have the votes on 10A.
Need a motion?
We need a vote on that?
There's,
Yep, because it's a second.
there's no,
Out there?
it just doesn't.
Well, you're right, my bad.
Yeah, just the
We have
reading.
to,
Once it's a third reading, then we do it.
oh,
My bad.
Okay.
Yeah,
Still
just
learning how
sharing
to do
about
things.
NISA and how important it is that we need to have representation there. I seen Chris Start in there. The people are getting old, they're aging, and they want us to, start looking at, the leaders.
Some people are going.
Yeah.
That's a lot of walking and
Yeah,
I can't do that walking no more, right?
So-
Otherwise, I like to go.
Navis was there. There was their first time joining the NISA conference, but I just wanted to share that. It was, very
Mhm.
informative, and I'm glad that I attended. It took time away from my family, and I just want to share that I'm glad that I attended, and I encourage all of you guys to be involved in NISA and Impact Aid. So we do get majority of our funds from that. So I just want to share that's an important organization to promote and be involved in. Which,
I got, whenever.
okay, go ahead, Chris, your turn.
Well, they got these new things, Tina, they're $3,000, they're a little luggage thing and they drive. You can
I would need something like
Sit
that.
on your luggage.
Oh, yeah.
Right. But yeah, they're $3,000.
I went to
Oh,
the school.
were you looking at them?
They were,
Get me one
They
for
were
the
in a good
school, cause
shape.
when I visited the school that morning. Oh my, I walked from, you come in on this side and then I had somebody show me around and got over there and talked to teachers and then got over here and talked some more. So I thought, oh, this is good, and I walked back, going down, ran into somebody else and I had to walk back about 4 times. I almost made it to the door and then they catch me and they wanna show me stuff. So then I did that, and then that afternoon, I come over here and I run into GNU, and then GNU shows me, and I didn't realize you guys got all these hallways up and down. And man, when I got home that night, I could barely walk. My hip hurt so bad. My hip hurt, and I was barely walking next, and I just thought, I'm so glad I'm not working in there anymore, because I had to walk the hallways, with my cart.
okay,
But man, they showed me all kinds of stuff, that's going on in the school, and staff were pretty good. And I liked it. It was good, but there was one thing I was wondering. When I was a teacher, we used to have we had our schedule on the board, on the door. So if anybody came around and they looked, they seen our schedule and knew exactly where you were. Well, I seen a lot of those missing. And then when I used to be a teacher, we used to have our standards up on the wall. So when you walk in, we could see all the standards that people are teaching and stuff. But I seen that wasn't up anymore either. Is that all taken away? They
It's
don't
all
have to
still
do
there,
that anymore?
it's just not required. And
Because they
a lot of-
really pushed that on
takes
us
a
and
lot of
made us
space.
required.
a lot of times now, that's all online now. So parents can look that up.
Yeah, there's an app now, and so we get to watch everything from our phone.
So and if the state people came in here and they seen our teachers and have their schedules up on their door, it's all right.
But you know, we have a curriculum committee, maybe the curriculum committee can discuss that, you know, sometime, but
That's another thing, curriculum committee. I know I'm on it. But, who else is on the curriculum committee?
You could step in.
And if the school board would allow me, I'd love to like comment on that. I just missed background. I would definitely bring in the board administrator. So it's,
You could step in.
thank you. You know, who's that?
it'll be Joe Palmer.
Oh, Joe, sure.
You'll have better insight on how that would look.
I hear that guy saying a lot. And everyone.
His dad is our lawyer.
Yeah, his senior, he works for the tribe on a lot of matters. His son, Joe Junior, just started in the last year for the courts.
Okay, real quick, so, in the gym, can we get the PA system
I would follow.
And the lighting.
and the lighting?
Yep, I had that on my.
But, okay, so the lighting now, it was, you know, first brought to attention in November before the season started, and yet we still haven't seen any action. So accountability, right? Help desk, all this stuff we're supposed to do, our staff is supposed to do, they do it. But it's not, there's no follow through, you know what I mean? So, and the boys, we've been shutting it off, which makes it dark, but the girls had, you know, they turn the lights on and the girls came to, it's like a strobe light, you know what I mean? So.
Dark and it's dim.
Well, if they shut it off, it's dark, but if you turn it on, then you get that strobe light, you know what I mean? So I've heard some of our opposing teams are.
I'll find out what the holdup is.
Yeah, what's the holdup on
Light
that?
chain deal? Yeah, Tom, you were talking about with me the other day about the sound system.
So the PA system, like, I don't know what the school has for financials or something like that. So if there is no budget or if it's something that's gonna drag out beyond this basketball season, I've met with chemical health programs and us, the Boys and Girls Club and Chemical Health are willing to put up the funds to put a new PA system in there. I've contacted NLFX out of Bemidji. They install it as well if we wanted to. And what it is there's 8 15-inch subs up top. So we would do the same thing and we could wire it to where it's set up to a laptop at the scores table. Because right now, it's a system in the back, so anytime you want to change the level of the mics or the music, you gotta run back there and do it. So now like whoever's at the desk, like if you've been to Cass Lake Gym, during timeouts and halftime, they turn on some light music, you know, Corey's been doing it, but granted, Corey brings in his own stuff and he's not always available. So, I mean, considering, you know, the athletics program, I think it's only right that they have a nice PA system.
You have an invoice or any kind of pricing structure yet from the NFL?
I just called them yesterday and they're gonna give me something ASAP.
That's who installed this somewhere.
It was like, I think like 12 years ago-ish.
Was that long day last, and we got to buy another one.
Well, what it could be is like, it could just take one time somebody's messing around and they like left it blasting too loud for a day and it could mess up speakers, you know, and that's what's happening. It pitches if it's too loud with the microphone.
You can't really hear the mic.
Yeah, if you take care of your stuff, yeah, your speakers could last, you know, over a decade easily, but in this case, we don't know what happened. It could have been one day where the kids were messing around and blasting music and who knows? Maybe they are just that old and outdated, but yeah, like I was talking to West Jordan, he works the scores tables and I was saying, it'd be a bummer if we had to utilize that for the rest of the season. That maybe over Christmas break, we take some moves if the school doesn't have it in their budget. Boys and Girls Club and Chem Health is willing to pay the bill.
All right, cool. How about that? Remember that you said that same commitment, you offered it to the week, or is that
Still standing?
Still on the table, yeah.
Cause I know we can, you know, did we,
Yeah, who brought that up? Who brought up there's no, treadmill and all that that goes in
Are
there.
you sure chemical health has money though? Because I talked to several council members and it doesn't sound too good.
Well, without saying too much here,
if they do, that's cool.
So I don't think we should be vouching for them, that they're gonna commit to this.
I talked to them directly and they committed.
Okay.
I wouldn't say they committed if they didn't, like, yeah, with the weight room stuff, I guess I was more so waiting to, on Nolan to let me know when their 75,000 from the Thielen Foundation was spent up and we were ready to bring in ours. So same thing goes for the sound system. For the Boys and Girls Club, we received $100,000, donation from the Dale Larson Foundation. It's unrestricted funding. Yeah. My programs are sitting good financially, so I'm willing to make this kind of commitment for the schools.
Beautiful.
Awesome, good news. We get non-certified pay moved up to the 22nd. Versus the 20.
I did check with Willie on that. We can't move it up that early, but we can move it up a couple of days.
Well, a couple of
Okay.
days.
So, because we have people out, payroll and all for the holiday, we can't jump it up, but, you know, too much, but, can we find the see, what was the text?
So is he saying the 27th rather than the 22nd?
No, what is it right now? Is it,
Oh, right now it'd be the 29th, but we're out that day.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think the staff wants to have it on the 22nd. How does the school board feel about that?
Payroll staff will be
Yeah.
out until right after Christmas, but it will be definitely before the 29th, probably the 27th, so. Under this,
Then they'll have to wait longer for their next.
3
pay.
weeks.
so, well, yeah, because their check comes early a little bit, yeah, you're right. But
Some
we
say
can
that's good, some say that's not.
go a week from today. But without, if we had known a month ago, we should bring this up next year, a month earlier, we can coordinate with the payroll staff and make adjustments, but
so you're saying payroll staff can't make the adjustment?
they're out. We will be out. We get it done. Check with Willie,
So you pushed it to the 27th?
pushed it up 2 days, yep. 2 days. Need more time to plan it.
But you're 100%, payroll can't do it.
Willie told me.
Did anybody check with the payroll department?
I think I've heard differently.
Okay.
I did. So again, that's that, you know what I mean? Sometimes this information we get
Mm-hmm.
isn't accurate, and that ain't cool. You know what I'm saying? We went through this before
Well-
where, if you remember, we went through, they were running out of lunch and we were told, oh, no, they're not. So then we go back to the people who voted us in. We say, oh, they're not. And then a couple meetings later, this person who just told us it's not happening tripped up and said, oh, yeah, it is. And we're like, you know what I mean? For like 2 or 3 months, you had us lying to people who vote us in. So
Yep.
we have to get accurate information because we make the vote.
And they weren't running out of food.
Huh? They weren't.
They
No,
were-
wait, no.
They were running out of certain parts, of
Yeah,
food, but they
but-
still had meals. So the only thing I get is how the questions asked.
Yeah. No,
But
the
you're right, just
information,
different answers, yeah.
the information we're given needs to be accurate. You can't be sugarcoated to
Right.
make it better for some people.
Yes, exactly. And that's,
Makes us look like fools.
I'm a youth advocate and I'm standing up for these kids.
There's no way we can,
I can double check one more time, but,
is it up to us or is it up to?
yeah, it's really not, it's up.
Really?
And it's not good practice to make these changes. People need to be responsible to budget their own checks, budget their payroll. And we're putting a burden on our staff to do this. Probably have to put them into overtime, I don't know. But Willie said it just won't work. If one of you, if you guys wanna go check with Willie and find out why. It
Well,
won't
we
work.
already have his answer. Why don't we go check with the payroll?
They'll probably say yes because they're afraid to say no. You know? You're putting them in a bind, but you certainly can. I'm not stopping you.
You're at the opposite end of your.
You're speaking for him.
Yeah.
No, you could ask them. You're saying, I'm telling you, I looked into it and we discussed it ahead of time, is what I'm saying. We already planned for doing something ahead of time because of the calendar and the schedule and the holiday break. And we are moving it up 2 days already.
So if they would have asked last month, you would have okayed it then, or what? What do you? We
If
didn't
you'd had
know
more
about it
time-
last month that
if
they
you'd had more
wanted
time,
to
I think
early
we
check,
could've.
you know?
Yep. But it's just like any other thing that you bring to the last minute, it's hard to make a change.
Well, it's an administrative thing, right? It has nothing to do with us. It's-
Right.
It's an administrative.
Yep.
Have you done it before?
In them early? Oh, yeah.
We did last year too, but we had
Yeah.
more advanced notice last year.
But we don't just say, go ahead and do it. I mean,
Yep.
say it's okay, but we don't vote on it. Or, as far as I know.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah, no, I mean,
just an administrative.
all right, so.
With that being said, let's adjourn.
Okay, well,
One more thing, Chris?
yeah, two actually. So somebody asked me about the child who's being marked absent for the whole day if they're 1 minute late. That didn't sound right to me, but
Couldn't be.
it was brought to
You
me.
can get me specifics, I can look into this.
Yeah.
That should not be happening.
And the other one was, certain events are being held where there's food in the culture room. When there were, I guess, the culture was dedicated, some of our people who are no longer here, our cultural people, stated that it's not a place to kind of have food parties and things like that, whereas they suggested maybe right in cafeteria. So we're wondering, that was another concern brought to me, and I said, I'll bring it to here because that's what we're, another thing that we're elected to do, right?
Yep. And again, that is managerial and shouldn't be even brought to the board level.
Yeah, it's something that should be discussed prior to the meeting with the superintendent.
And the signs mysteriously were put on the door of the cultural room.
I thought they were already in.
And there's no food, and then the garbage cans were taken out and found out it was a security person. Not somebody in charge, just a security personnel, security guard put those signs up. Why? I don't know. So I went and talked to our culturist, Dr. Gnu and the others. And I said, is there some reason? Did you ask this? I just want to know, because we can enforce it if you don't want us having food. And he said, no, I don't know why this is put up here. Food is a big part of our culture. And when we have Indian parent meetings or young warrior meetings or other meetings in the culture room, food is often a part of it. So there's no reason why he said we should not have food, and he took the signs down. So we have,
So they can eat in there then?
yeah, there's no reason why they can't. I thought it was the custodian who did it at first, because he didn't want to clean. We clean up after ourselves with our peer leaders. They have
Yeah.
once a month, we'll have a meal in there and have a meeting and discuss. And we always clean up. I don't know why somebody did that, but the culturist said, no, we should be able to.
With that being said, we're gonna move on to item 11, adjournment. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I make more.
Rich, Rob, do we have a second?
Second.
Rich, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
6, 4, 0 against, and the time is 3:36.
Thank
Did
you,
press the
everybody, and
button?
goodbye, everybody online.
Rich.